We will talk less about our products and services and we will listen more. Just want to break the stereotype that this is not really an industry for people who are not educated. ये चीज़ें भी माँ बाप सिखाते हैं. घर में पैसा आता है तो कहाँ जाना चाहिए. ये स्कूल और कॉलेज में नहीं पढ़ाई जाती. If we know what are their pain points, what are the challenges, what is their outlook, then it's easy to diagnose. अगर आप देखें, there are lots of people who are actually willing to relocate back to India. There are many places in Gurgaon where the prices are much higher than places like Dubai, London or New York. So it's very important to have a phone call and an in-person conversation and a meeting. The only thing they're looking for is knowledge, trust and comfort.
Hello and welcome to yet another episode with yet another eclectic, unstoppable human. And this time we are covering a journey, a sector, a conversation which we have never had on Unbound. Yes, I will not divulge too much, but this sector has been on fire. And here we have the stalwart, right from 20 years, more than 2 decades of experience from the sector, Parikshit Chopra ji. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Mamtaa. Thank you for having me. It's a privilege actually to be the first real estate consultant and possibly on to a legacy which will...
We at Unbound, our effort is always to tell untold stories. And I had been really tracking real estate as a sector, Indian real estate market. And this has been really a dream, which has been into kind of getting into manifestation now. Looking at the kind of unprecedented growth that the sector has been recording year on year, I think more than 14%.
Yes.
What's your take? Was this ever on the anvil? ये vision में भी था क्या कभी?
Well, I feel Gurgaon has been lucky in that respect because of the presence of so many corporates. So because the corporates are here, so the manufacturing is here, there are so many industries around Manesar as well. So wherever there are corporate service industries and where there's manufacturing, so there's always a consistent demand for good quality housing. And that housing demand is being fueled by the aspirations of people. So people want to live close to their workplace. And that is what is fueling the real estate boom. And also there are certain micro markets in Gurgaon, such as Golf Course Road or Golf Course Extension Road, where the prices are defying all logic. So the demand is consistent, the growth drivers are there, and the government policies are very pro-housing.
So government policy or sector पे, obviously this discussion is all about that. But just before we begin and get there, we would like to know about your brand, KDC Consulting. Tell us a little about yourself and how did you real estate and some other sectors like these are not very popular choices when you talk about making a career or a profession. So first tell us, who is Parikshit Chopra, where does he come from and how did real estate happen to you?
Yes, so Mamtaa, I'm a boy from Delhi and did schooling at DPS RK Puram. And I did BBA and MBA from a private college here, Rai Business School. So my first job was actually with Ansel Properties. Ansel API was a big brand at that time.
After MBA, you got into property straight away?
Yes, I joined them as a management trainee and that was a fantastic learning experience. So Ansel API, I don't know, many people in the industry can relate to this. So it has been like a university of sorts for people who are at very senior positions in real estate right now. So there was a lot of learning, tremendous learning. For 4 years I was there. And the industry connects I made, the client experience I had, dealing with clients and with channel partners as a trainee, as a young MBA graduate was very, very insightful. And I'm so grateful for the connections that I made at that time and the exposure that I got. So, some things are not taught in schools and colleges, some things are taught in families. So my father always told me that whatever you do, make sure you contribute with your full heart and soul. So he said, आपको salary तो मिलेगी, but जितना आप दोगे, that will be more important. So make sure you contribute much more than what you receive. So in a sense, this philosophy has stayed with me throughout my career. And that is something which always rings a bell. He said, don't ever count what you're getting, but count the experience, count how much value you're putting into your job, how much heart and soul you're putting into your job. So that thought system, that ethos has always stayed with me. I think it comes from families. It doesn't get taught in schools and colleges.
Totally. And what was their reaction? Because your dad is also a celebrated and a renowned cardiologist of India.
So I suppose some things which are destined for us, Consciously or unconsciously, the circumstances and the situations are created in such a manner that we subconsciously are attracted to those professions. And that is possibly what happened, because even at that time, the industry, real estate boom was definitely there. Although, Gurgaon was not the same prices what we see now, but the sentiment was always very positive. And it's a great industry to work with. And just want to break the stereotype that this is not really an industry for people who are not educated. In fact, educated people with good communication skills, with good knowledge. Right now, there's a deficit of people who can be trusted. There's a deficit of people who are knowledgeable about the industry. There's a deficit of people who are well read, who are articulate, who are well presented. So this trust deficit is something which is an opportunity for educated people, and people who can relate to this, especially from the real estate industry, they will know the kind of potential it has and the kind of value we can add as educated consultants.
Such an important part you play in someone's investment decision, and that is investment for life. Housing, home buying is not something that happens every day. At a young age, how did you tread it? Like, were there disappointments? How did you deal with it?
So that is the life of a salesperson, you know. If 100 clients say no, at least one or two will say yes. So that effort has to be on, that consistency, that passion, that devotion, that dedication, that resilience.
Just like any other profession.
Yes, so that resilience has to continue. So follow up is very critical, I feel. So there are many sales studies which show that many salespeople don't even follow up once with a prospect. So if a person says no, they will not call them again, and that is precisely when we need to call them. They say that many sales closures are made after the fifth to 12th contact by a salesperson.
Is
So
that
ma-
an actual study?
that's an actual study. It's quoted in many business forums. And the fifth to 12th contact is when you are negotiating coming to the site or negotiating the products or the multiple variety of products.
Yeah. You said a very valid thing that, this is still in so many ways a very disorganized. How should they first, sort of disconnect from this thought and sort of have a more empowering context before they even start considering this as an option?
So, Mamta, I feel the media is playing an important role in this. So, there was a show recently where we had the young upcoming stalwarts of real estate and the $1 million listing. It was a huge, popular series on Netflix. And anyone who saw that series, they can relate to this. So, you don't really need to be very educated. That's a perception for real estate consultants. But that serial possibly broke that myth. People investing even in a 1 crore apartment or a 100 crore apartment or a villa, the only thing they're looking for is knowledge, trust, and comfort. And if we can give that comfort level to a client, so that is something which will help us to close more sales.
Other than the home, of course, the tangible part of the product that they are buying, they have a lot of convincing to do. That okay, what more? What more am I getting?
Yes.
Is this transaction fair? Is this transaction easy? I hope he's not cheating on me. I think that's a common issue when
Yeah.
anybody goes in for that level of investment. To have that first conversation that why should I run with this consultant and not that consultant, right?
Yes, that's correct. So
Yeah.
there's very often it's an emotional roller coaster for many
Yeah.
buying a real estate product.
Yeah.
And it's a tremendous insight into consumer psychology
Right.
because there are multiple influencers and possibly one or two decision makers who control the funds. Very important to understand the psychology of these influencers. It could be the spouse, it could be the children, it could be the grown up children, it could be, in some cases, the parents are also the influencers. So once we do understand that who has the maximum influence on the buyer and who is calling the shots, who is providing the finances, I feel if we address those gaps in perception, then success is not.
Do you think MBA teaching equips you enough for that?
In fact, it's a lot of learning which is on the job. So once we are interacting with as many people as we can, so a lot of it is I love to read about neuro-linguistic programming and how we are programmed as salespeople and how we're programmed as selling anything, and how we are possibly not programmed into understanding consumer psychology. If we delve into the nitty gritty as to why people are buying,
I think we'll have to do another episode for that. That why people are buying or why are they not buying for that matter. But coming back to where we began from, unprecedented success. How do you, as a consultant, make that choice, or how do you lay out your opportunities in front of the investor such that it is the best decision for him?
so Mamta, a very important point you've raised. So I think it's important to ask the right questions.
Questions, yeah.
And the moment the conversation comes to questioning, probing, analyzing, so we will talk less about our products and services and we will listen more. The moment we are listening more to our customers, the more empathy we have. And if we understand from a holistic perspective, not many customers will want to explore 15, 20 options in real estate. If we get down to asking them simple questions like what is their budget, what is their requirement, where are they living right now, are they happy where they are living? This opens up a Pandora's box, you know.
Right.
People, that's the easiest question you can ask
Yeah.
anyone. What are the challenges you are facing where
Yeah.
you're living
Where are the
right now?
gaps? Yeah.
What do you feel is an appropriate solution? How can this be addressed? And then they will come up to situations like they don't like their neighbors, they are fighting with their neighbors over car parking, and they want to get away from the RWA. They don't like some people in the RWA. These are small emotional needs. These are emotional hooks.
Which actually influence their property buying decision.
If we know what are their pain points, what are the challenges, what is their outlook, what is their vision, what is their purpose, once we get to know maybe 10 or 20 points about the why what they're looking for, then it's easy to diagnose.
That really brings me to an interesting point. Coming to the sector and the development and everything at the policy level, what the government is facilitating. Do you think the market has become so bullish because government has taken initiatives and that's how the seeding of aspirations is happening? Or is it because the consumer is aspirational because he has so much international exposure, he's traveling, he has a propensity to consume, to spend, and therefore that kind of lifestyle and aspiration needs are happening?
Yeah, so it's a mix of all these factors actually, Mamta. If we compare ourselves to what financial situation we were in, you know, with all due respect, 25,
Right,
30 years back.
right. When we
So,
made a start and
yeah,
where
so when we
these,
were growing
yeah,
up, our parents possibly did not have that spending power,
yeah,
which we have as part of a growing India and a growing economy. So that spending pattern has changed. The income levels have changed drastically. And similarly, property prices have also shifted to that respect. If you come to that, the India growth story, हिंदुस्तान का अमृतकाल चल रहा है आज की डेट में. अगर आप देखें, there are lots of people who are actually willing to relocate back to India, and there are many places in Gurgaon where the prices are much higher than places like Dubai, London, or New York. That is a reality today. When I speak with my extended family members in the US, they say, would we not rather buy an apartment in Manhattan, downtown New York, as compared to buying 100 CR in Dahlias? Well, the answer is something which is controversial.
to
It's
each
debatable.
to his own though.
Yeah, it's debatable. So
Yeah.
each to his own, and the infrastructure boost is there by the government, and there are lots of positive changes in terms of industries coming in. The corporates are coming. The Fortune 500 companies, nearly each one of them has a presence in Gurgaon. And moreover, the manufacturing sector is poised for very big numbers, and that is creating a demand for all levels of housing.
Right. Coming to projects, these of course we are talking tier 1 cities like Gurgaon, Delhi, NCR, Mumbai, Bangalore. But coming to tier 2, for example, going to maybe a Jaipur, Indore, Bhopal, you know, or any of the belt in Gujarat, Ahmedabad, Dholera, you know. So what's your take on investment in those cities?
So, if you do a basic research, you know, nowadays we say that if we are not researching, we are missing out. तो उसको कहते हैं जैसे अपने पैर पे ही कुल्हाड़ी मार रहे हैं.
कुल्हाड़ी पे जाके पैर मारना.
Yeah, so actually, so people, ignorance is something which is
Yeah, no longer
absolutely,
bliss.
it cannot be forgiven.
Yeah.
So ignorance cannot be used as an excuse. You cannot say I did not know. Well, you have all the tools in front of you. So the biggest advantage is that many people may not be aware that such kind of returns are happening in places like Pune or Indore or Dholera or Jaipur. But the fact that these places have given so much return to investors is something which needs to be researched.
Yeah.
And once we've done that research, it's a no-brainer. So, metropolitan cities, the growth is definitely happening.
Yeah.
But if we do a basic level of research, we can understand that we can make a lot of money in these tier 2 and tier 3
Right.
cities.
तो क्या आप आना चाहेंगे अनबाउंड विद ममता पे अनबाउंडिंग के लिए मेरे साथ? कोई स्टोरी, कोई आइडिया, कोई थॉट है आपके पास जो आप चाहते हैं कि दुनिया सुने? तो मुझे लिखिए unboundwithmamta@gmail.com. That is unboundwithmamtaa@gmail.com. या सिंपली हमारे किसी भी इंस्टाग्राम पोस्ट को या यूट्यूब के एपिसोड को लाइक, शेयर या अपने कमेंट्स भेजिए. Looking at, there's a lot of anticipation. Now, obviously, an investor who has a big wallet and is open to maybe a 50 CR, 100 CR investment can go and buy himself something like a camellias and all. But if I look at it purely from an investment standpoint, do you actually see the appreciation of these properties happening 2x, 3x in future to come, let's say in 5 years or 10 years' time?
Well, we've seen 2x happening in as little as 2 years on places like Golf Course Road. So they are defying all logic, and even Delhi prices have shot up a lot for that matter.
Yeah.
Certain pockets in Delhi have shown tremendous growth post-COVID.
More than
The
that.
reason is the fear of uncertainty. So this unpredictability and this fragility has possibly given a consciousness to buyers to be more resilient in decision making and to be more bold in decision making.
And it's for, yeah, exactly. It's like a legacy. It's like building a legacy for the generations ahead. Luxury living, and then there is a boom of the sorts that we see with the kind of villa properties that are mushrooming up in Goa and all of that. So is this the first time investor, or is this, you think, an investor who has like easy money, has lot more bucks to just go and park himself somewhere?
So it's very important never to undermine the education of investors.
Okay.
Possibly, every day is a learning experience for people like me also. Anyone who has the money will be spending it very, very judiciously. So they are financially sound. They have the acumen to manage their finances. And if they are, if they are big guns in their industry,
Right.
then they've done a fair bit of research before calling you. So we have to give that edge in terms of advice to make sure that we are, if not more knowledgeable than the customer themselves,
Yeah.
at least similar at par knowledge, because the worst thing that can happen is when our customer tells us 10 things that we don't even know about.
Right. Right.
So it's very important to be
Because he may be friends with the CEO of the project.
it's important to be ahead of the curve. It's important to be
Yeah.
ahead of the curve and
Yeah.
to make sure our knowledge is absolutely immaculate. So it's important also to understand that we're giving the right value proposition.
But this investor can be in any age bracket, right? I mean, today wealth is no longer the factor of age at all. The way that we are seeing it, startup founders in their early 30s or just late 20s turning the ball totally flipping it aside. So how do you, that's what my question really is, that how do you bucketize this kind of consumer, because this is no longer on age. This is no longer only on wealth that is accumulated over certain period of years or experience. So how do you make that counsel, or how do you judge and say that, okay, he's ready for this, or this will be the right instrument, or this will be the right sort of advice to give to him?
So based on the questions we are asking, there's no hard and fast formula as to what qualifies as a valid product for a particular customer. So at what age? Age is not a criteria. We have 24, 25-year-olds who have been earning for 6, 7 years already. So age is not a criteria. The criteria is the investment horizon that the buyer has. And The investment horizon, and naturally we'll offer a certain bucket of products based on our knowledge and our industry exposure. And if that is in sync with what he's looking for and the budget in requirement, so then definitely we can give options, or we can even. I feel it's important to pitch the right product and the risk appetite, the investment horizon they're looking for.
Much has been said about millennials, Gen Z, Gen Y, how they don't want to take care. They want to live carefree because tomorrow they could be packing bags and going to Himalayas or, some other country. How do you see their behavior? What are their mind shifts? So they could be like, कि रहने को तो मैं को लिविंग में रहता हूँ या को वर्किंग से काम करता हूँ बट येस आई डू हैव अ विला इन हिमालयाज और आई डू हैव अ विला इन गोवा डू यू सी दोज काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स हैपनिंग
Well, that also has to do with the generational shift in income levels.
Right.
So there are some instances where very young people are earning very high incomes,
Right.
and very often that also comes with a certain set of family values, how to spend that money. But at the same time, when a person is independent, so there also is an aspiration to be free of those family conditioning. And once you're free of that conditioning, then sky is the limit. So you are looking for aspirational homes. You are looking for homes which offer luxurious clubhouse options. You are looking for villas in Goa. You're looking for lifestyle destinations like a Westin or Four Points, Four Seasons. So there are mix of commercial options you can get. They will still continue to buy land also. Land also gives
They do?
exponential
They do?
appreciation. Yes. We've
My
had a
next
lot of-
question was that has that mindset not shifted where our parents traditionally used to say कि कितना भी कमाओ थोड़ा सा पैसा ज़मीन में ज़रूर डालना like not as a house but just as a property as land. Is this still a trend?
No, you'll have many people even in Delhi NCR or places like Punjab. They will buy only land. It depends a lot on the amount family conditioning and the kind of money people have earned in land investments also. Although there is an aspirational value in buying apartments, apartments in Gurgaon are also defeating all trends. So there is no logic for the prices. And the prices, there is a short-term speculation that these prices, it's a bubble, will the bubble burst? And we will never see many depreciating assets in real estate. Mostly each one is increasing steadily.
Given such a dynamic, industry that you're representing today, what are your personal favorites and which kind of developer projects will you really pitch yourself on?
We work with a number of developers.
Yeah.
Would not like to name any developers.
No, you can.
But as just to keep it politically correct, there are some super luxury penthouses which are defeating all logic. And there are certain micro markets in Gurgaon like Golf Course Road, the golf links section.
Yeah.
They've done a lot of work on the infrastructure and the roads also. So a lot of good things will be happening. And having said that, this real estate growth in Delhi NCR is also fueling growths in other cities also. So Mumbai has historically always had very high prices.
Yeah.
And other than that, I feel that consumer buying experience is undergoing a sea change. We have a lot of people who are interacting with us on mobile phones. People, the dynamics has really changed in the past 20 years also. So it's very important to have a phone call and an in-person conversation and a meeting. They're always communicating more on WhatsApp. So many of them are trusting news that's coming to them on Facebook and WhatsApp. Unless we are not talking, so deals are not happening.
Absolutely. And go visit the site. While obviously AI and augmented reality is doing its own part. So yeah, that was my another question too. How technology is influencing this whole process of decision or even selection process for the consumer.
So the search analytics are also catering to what you're searching for. So they are targeting you with those advertisements which you're consciously searching for again and again. And you'll get to see more and more of them depending on what you're searching for.
So somebody has done a search on Dubai, so all of that will happen.
Yes.
Somebody
So that
is
will keep
searching.
happening for Dubai, for Gurgaon, for Delhi, for Bombay. And having said that, if you're not part of the wave, you're going to miss out.
But let me say how unassuming this might look. Parikshit ji is very, very active on Instagram. He runs a very popular channel of his own with KDC
Real estate.
consultant, right?
KDC.
A
We like to
lot
do.
of informative, educational videos that
Yeah,
you're
the
doing
intent
there.
is to give value to the customer. The intent is to give the out and out product details of each and every product.
Right, right. Informed decisions, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
That's where we have to move, which is women investor in real estate. Both at the end of leading the sector and investing in the sector. How have you seen? Has there been a change?
Yeah, so regardless of whether women are the actual people who are paying for the apartment, they continue to remain the strongest influencers, even if they are not paying for it directly. If we are understanding the pulse of the woman buyer or the woman influencer, our deal will be a success.
No, especially when being single parent is all right. Like it's an accepted norm. Uh, Being someone who is separated is okay with the society. Being someone who doesn't want to get married is okay with the society. So are you seeing that chunk of, genre of consumer who's coming and saying that yeah, इसका तो पता नहीं शादी का तो पता नहीं होगी कि नहीं होगी, but at least I want to secure my finances and want to make an investment.
Yeah, so aspirations have changed, so society setups have changed, and tolerance levels have also reduced. So, which is why we see a lot of buyers who are women who are independent earning, and it's something which is happening.
Yeah.
Uh,
But again, a
uh,
tier 1, 2 phenomena, or is it widespread?
it's it actually doesn't have any geographical distribution. This is something again which is taught in families. So I still feel that joint family setup is also very popular in India at least, because we have the luxury of domestic helps, we have the luxury of convenience at our doorsteps. So the family setup is still very strong in places like Delhi NCR in India. And people continue to buy real estate after due consultation with their family members, whether it's a nuclear family or a joint family. And the strongest buyers continue to be families who are well knit, well bonded together.
But how does the structure really work, And I would talk about it from a very, very pragmatic point of view. In general, we are seeing कि tolerance level कम होते जा रहे हैं. Will you not promote the fact कि at least 2 kitchens तो होनी चाहिए एक flat में?
Well, that is something which we can possibly take offline. And tolerance levels is also something very emotional.
Yeah.
It's actually societal pressure or
Right.
it's more of a psychological state of mind, which is possibly not so related to real estate. We
Right.
can take it up offline.
But but it definitely has an influence on your sales, sir.
It has the woman itself. The woman is very powerful.
Yeah.
The woman buyer is highly educated,
Yeah.
and they have a lot of expectations
Yeah.
because they are the biggest influencers. It's a make or break decision by the women.
Yeah. Wow. So no matter how underplayed that role might look, women, you go. And I like to hear that. I like the sound of that. Is there anything you would want to add on any of the current developing projects? Anything that comes to your mind and you want to pinpoint?
I just like to say that properties in Delhi and Gurgaon, try and take a decision as fast as you can, because properties are very fast moving. The demand really exceeds the supply. So before we know it, the property will be visited by 20-25 people when we are least expecting it. Many apartments in Gurgaon get sold out on weekends. There are 20-25 visits which happen, and by the time you check with them on Monday, Tuesday, they are sold out. Similar situation for plots, similar for builder floors, similar for bungalows, and similar cases in places like South Delhi also. Plots, villas, builder floors, everything is very hot selling. So the moment you are able to accumulate a certain level of funds, please, I would also like to encourage young home buyers to please go ahead and take bank loans. Because it is possibly the biggest decision you can take to invest in a home at a young age. And you get tax benefits on housing loans. And certain employers also give benefits on housing loans. So while you are young and earning, please do make an asset for your family members. Because ये चीज़ें भी माँ बाप सिखाते हैं. घर में पैसा आता है तो कहाँ जाना चाहिए. ये स्कूल और कॉलेज में नहीं पढ़ाई जाती बात है.
जहाँ से आपने कॉन्वर्सेशन शुरू की थी.
So some things happen in families. Financial decisions, financial risk taking also is taught in families. So spending is a pattern which must be controlled. Unless we are controlling spending, we cannot control accumulating. Don't compromise on your lifestyle, but be a little bit disciplined in respect of where the money is going. Because if we spend away all our money, how will we save and how will we build assets?
So the real mantra of growth is to go a little frugal.
Yeah, work more and spend less.
Spend less.
Earn
yeah.
more, work more, spend less.
Spend less. Be
Yeah.
be very very cautious with your hard-earned money. Is it a good time for the consumer to actually go out and say कि यार मैं loan लेके भी लेकिन घर जरूर बनाऊंगा?
So, being a part of the business community, our end customer is the same as a financial advisor.
Yes.
And financial advisors really brainwash people. अरे कहाँ real estate में ले रहे हो? Real estate
फंस
पे लेकर थोड़ी ना
जाओगे,
आजकल फंस जाओगे.
liquidate नहीं हो पाएगा.
So people have made a lot of money in mutual funds and stock markets, but people have definitely made more money in real estate. So if you're being guided by the wrong
That's
people,
a very good pitch you have done today. But so well-meaningly said, yeah.
so the quality of your asset will also be directly proportional to the advice you're getting. So make sure you're in sync with the right people.
So word of cautions there. So what are the red flags or alerts one should really watch out for when one is consulting a real estate agent or an advisor?
So one aspect I feel which is very important to the question you've asked. A real estate consultant is not a chartered accountant, and he's not a lawyer. A real estate consultant can give you basic knowledge of accounting, basic knowledge of law, but we are not professionals. Indian customers, however, they have a mindset कि यार हम lawyer के पैसे बचा लेंगे, CA के पैसे बचा लेंगे, सब कुछ real estate वाले से ही कराओ.
Acha,
Because,
like all the stamp paper, the work and everything.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Okay.
You know, there are professionals who are doing what they are doing because
Yeah.
they are paid to do it.
Right.
And it's important to trust your CA, to trust your lawyer, and also to trust your real estate consultant because each one of them has their own strengths and expertise. So it's important.
So if it's a consultant who is saying, sir, ये रहने दो, legal वाले को मत डालो, CA को मत डालो, तो you know then that is a red flag.
That's a red flag.
And if somebody who's really strategically pinpointing it कि आपने ये अपने CA को inform किया या legal वो लिया, तो you know that is a green flag that this is the right advice that you're getting.
Yeah.
Anything else you would like to add?
So I'd also like to say that ignorance is no longer an excuse.
Yeah, ignorance is no longer bliss. It's no longer an excuse. It's
So-
no longer you can get away with.
Yeah, we're living in a digital age. There is so much overload of information on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, and on print media, digital media. If you do a basic search for performance indicators, for location parameters, for location USPs, best projects in the area, you will find a whole depth of options coming in for any real estate project in India or in the world actually. So if you have not done your research and right now the thumb rule is if you get a name of a person, you do a basic search on Google, LinkedIn kya hai, Instagram kya hai, Facebook kya hai. You get to know a lot about this information. You get to know about a person through their digital presence. So if they are present very positively on digital platforms, it speaks a lot about their reputation.
Yeah, a lot of reputation is getting built there, and that's the reason we are there with Unbound on all the streaming platforms, including YouTube, Spotify,
Yeah.
Apple iTunes, Amazon. You search it and you'll get it.
Let's keep unbounding together.